Welcome to the Best in Class 2-Day Summit. I am Kaden Taylor Johnson, a teacher from the Port Antonio Infant School in Portland. Day one include conversations on child poverty and children's right to education, children and violence, children and gambling. We will also share some top candid essays from the Gleaner's Best in Class Candid Essays by Students Magazine. Let's kick things off with our first rap session with Sasha Gay Anderson Javier as they talk about being back at school.
Hi, Javier.
Hi, mommy.
What was it like being home during COVID and staying with mommy?
It was being rough, but staying with mom was nice because I gave a lot of trouble.
What did you miss the most about school?
School, my teacher, food, and my friends.
Wow. Are you happy to be back at school?
Yes,
Why?
because I get to learn.
Excellent. Why is it important to go to school?
Because I can get a good job and a better life.
Great answer. Very excellent. I'm so proud of you, baby.
Great chit chat. Now it's time to find out what the kids say when the adults are away in our kids session on child poverty.
I think that child poverty means when a child is born and like the parents, they're not financially stable and able or ready to support the child financially. So the child basically born and come suffer.
I think that child poverty means that the children's basic needs aren't being met. So it's like they probably don't have efficient clothes to wear, they're not getting proper meals, and they might not be going to school because they don't have the necessary things to attend.
I don't think enough is being done because even though there is sport and stuff like that, it's still hard for you to go on it. Because for my instance, my auntie has been trying to get me on it for a very long time and still don't come through and stuff like that. So not because some students are on part and stuff like that, there are a lot of children out there who can't go on it or stuff like that, and their parents really don't have it. So I really don't think enough is being done for that child or for those children.
I think that the community can come together and like if they have it, they can come together and put together small packages for the child in need, or even in, like the school they attend, the grade coordinator or the guidance counselor, if they see that the child or children is in dire need and they can do something to help, they just chip in and help.
I think the government can bring schools that don't require a school fee, like a free school for like in America, they have schools that children that you don't pay the school fee, but it still makes small contributions to the school as like bring markers for the teachers and folder leaf and so I think the government should bring a school that doesn't require the school fee.
Education is necessary because, as they say in Jamaican lingo, education takes you out of poverty. So, as he said, you can have a school that requires no school fee, you make small contributions.
I think that education is important because if you don't have education, it can be viewed in a certain way and people can treat you differently. Because if you're not as educated, people can tell you anything and you can believe it and you look stupid. And I think that the government can help. I mean, other people can help children that don't have access to education by like giving books that you don't use anymore. For example, if you're in grade 6 and you have the GSAT books or PET books or whatever, you can, when you leave, you can donate them to other students that are going to do the exams next.
I think education is important because it steers you away from ignorance and it really gives you a chance as an adult to better yourself. I think there should be secondary and primary schools that, as Dominic said, have no school fee. And at the collegiate level, I think there should be more people that actually invest in promising children who can't afford to go to school.
Thanks, kids. Now we're going to check out this dub performance from Dejani Lazarus, who is only 10 years old.
can be anything, anything. You can be anything, anything. Legally, anything, anything. You can be anything, anything. You can be anything you want to make them tell you say you can't be what you want to be. Realize your dreams, your purpose on this earth, the vision for your birth. Oh, all the team, realize your dream. Don't make nobody put no limit on your destiny. Anything, anything, you can be anything, anything. Legally, anything, anything. You can be anything, anything. You can be faster. You see an R a sharp, but you can be the next prime minister, the next great Messi or Ronaldo, a doctor, a teacher, a lawyer, anything. You say yes, you want be anything, anything. You can be anything, anything. Legally, anything, anything. You can be anything, anything. You can be anything you want to make them tell you say you can't be what you want to be. Realize your dreams, your purpose on this earth, the reason for your birth. Oh, all the team, realize your dreams. Don't make nobody put no limit on your destiny. Anything, anything.
Great performance, Dajani. Check out this essay from the Best in Class Candid Essays by Top Student.
Hello, my name is Kashana Henry, and we'll be reading a story from Madison Mitchell, Alia Bailey, Ariana Powell, and Sidona Thomas, Diana's Fair of Soldiers. All was quiet on this Friday afternoon. Children were playing quietly, and the soldiers were patrolling the community. Then suddenly, Diana ran into the house screaming, "They're coming for us! Hide!" She went into her room and hid under the bed. "Who is coming for us, Mr. Elrod?" and her father said, lifting her from under the bed. "Silly Diana," Paul, her brother, replied. "Daddy, the soldiers are just patrolling the place." "Daddy, but they are not just soldiers. They wear these funny costumes that have big guns. But worst of all, they don't even smile at you." "Enough of this nonsense, Diana. Tomorrow we are going to end this constant fear of soldiers for you," her father replied. "Yay, this is going to be fun," Paul cheered. The next morning, Mommy got Diana and Paul dressed and made them breakfast. "Now off you go. Daddy is waiting outside in the car for you," Mommy said as she hurried them through the door. The two stepped into the car. They drove off to Newcastle Military Training Facility in the cool hills of St. Andrew. When they arrived at the entrance gate, a tall man let them in. He and Mr. Elroy spoke for a while, then their father introduced them. "Kids, this is Captain Cape. He is the second in charge of the military training facility here in St. Andrew and is responsible for training the soldiers. His grandfather fought in the First World War, so he became a soldier himself." Paul's face glowed, but Diana looked shocked. "You are a soldier? But how? You're not in a costume." The three laughed as Diana studied the man. "It's not a costume, dear," Captain Cape chuckled. "It's a camouflage. We use it to blend in with our surrounding in times of war." They drove into the facilities to see soldiers training. Captain Cape introduced them to the sleeping dorms, training areas, and so on. At their last stop was at the cafeteria. Captain Cape announced that they were there for a visit. All the soldiers in the cafeteria smiled at the group and waved. Diana's mouth fell to the floor in astonishment. She said, "So you do smile?" "Of course we smile. We just not when we're on the job. We need a firm reputation while we are working. But other times we smile and laugh. We play all we want," Captain Cape said while smiling. The family, along with Captain Cape, walked around the cafeteria, introducing themselves, talking with other soldiers. Diana left the training facility feeling brave and confident about the soldiers. "That was fun, Daddy. We'll be able to see Captain Cape again." "Well, we'll see," Mr. Errol said as he drove. A week later, the three journeyed to Crossroad. Daddy," Paul said as he looked around the town, Why are we in Crossroads? We are supposed to be at home with mommy watching TV. Our trip isn't over, son, the father said, smiling. He parked at a nearby supermarket and they all walked over to a huge clock tower. There were people taking pictures and there was a huge gathering. No, this clock tower has all the names of the soldiers who died in the World War. Today we celebrate the courageous men who fought in the brutal war for Britain. Diana looked instantly. It was Captain Cape. He looked down at the crowd, faced Diana's direction, and said, I would like to bring someone up to the stage, Diana Elrod. Diana looked at her father and he lifted up her and Paul and brought them to the stage. Diana here was so scared of soldiers until last week she learned how special and wonderful they are. Diana, would you like to say something? Diana stepped on the podium and said, I thought soldiers were big, strong, scary men and women. But now I know that they're just nice, funny, and caring people who want to protect their country. Plus, I learned that they can smile. The crowd laughed and cheered Diana and Captain Cape. They all took pictures beside the clock tower before they left. Today we celebrate the courageous men who fought in the brutal World War for Britain.
Great read. Our chit chat is about children and violence. Let's check out our kids session.
It all stems from the home and being properly socialized. So if you're not properly socialized, you're pretty much vulnerable to everything. Cause you're not you like you're a paper with like no backbone, if that makes sense. So you just do as follow the leader. All if it wrong, you just follow them.
If you don't really have a strong mental state, friends can play a big role because there gets to a point where even though you don't want to do something, when you see friends doing it, you feel like you must partake.
Friends don't really have an impact on me because I do my own thing. So what they're doing, it doesn't really have. If I don't have an interest in it, I won't participate.
Okay, when I see my friend giving trouble, the first thing I do is go to them and let them know that what they're doing is not right. And if I see them continue doing it, then I will report them to a teacher or the guidance counselor or someone older than me.
For me personally, I'm a type of person that if I see someone doing something wrong, there must be a reason. So I'm going to come to you and ask you if everything is okay, like to look at checkup. And if I see that it's not okay, then I'm going to try to help in the best possible way that I can. And if I see that nothing that I'm doing is helping or you're not even trying to make an improvement, then I'm just going to inform, go to a guidance counselor or somebody.
You must face repercussions for what you do. So I think you must be sent to juvenile jail. But I don't think that's the main way to go because while you're doing a crime or doing a certain activity, you're not thinking about the consequences while you're doing it. So I don't think that's the best way to solve the problem. That doesn't solve the problem. Talking to kids will help them, and the way they are socialized will help reduce crime among children.
Okay, so I think the disciplinary personnels, they can have events for them to encourage them not to do such things, or if it's a case of poverty where their parents doesn't have it and they have to find it, they can even provide work for them so they don't have to go to violence and they can find a way for them and their families.
I don't think that corporal punishment necessarily are gonna help change anything. It might change some things, but not to a great extent, to a lesser extent. Because if I talk to you and I carry you go to guidance counselor, everything that I possibly can, and my last resort is beating and I beat you, and you still, it's you don't care, then make no sense keep on beating you. If I continue beating you, that's pretty much abuse, and that's not right.
I think it makes sense because it works for me. Because when I was younger, I didn't used to do things because I know my mother was going to beat me. So I just said, I can't do that because my mother is going to beat me. So I think it works.
I don't think it makes sense because there are other ways to do things. So you don't necessarily have to beat the child for them to understand you can, well, this doesn't always work, but it's not as extensive as beating the child, so you could probably take away their phone or, not allow them to go out for like a month, or go out as in other from school for like a month and stuff like that, instead of beating the child, because that can lead to abuse.
I don't think the focus should be on prison, because a lot of people go to prison and they don't come out as Malcolm X. I think it's I think it's more about listening to them and finding the root of the problem, because without finding the root you can't cut down the tree. I think it gets to a point where punishment is needed, but I don't think that should be the main focus.
Listen to when your parents talk, because if you listen to your parents to the T, you can never go wrong.
My advice to children at home is, as they said, listen to your parents. Even though at first, after being punishment, it may seem like they're being unfair, or they don't have anything better to do, or they hate you or stuff like that, but deep down, they know what's best for you. So just listen to them and learn from your mistakes.
I think you should listen to your parents, because they're older than you and they experience more things, and they know they more have a better understanding of what is right and wrong, what should be done and what should not be done. So I think you should listen to them, because it can impact your future.
Thank you, kids. Let's check out our next rap session with Richard Henry from the Responsible Gaming Counsel and Support Service, Rise Life Management Services. Richard has been working in the field of addictions for the past 28 years. He has worked in responsible gaming for the past 16 years and is presently the program manager for the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission RISE Responsible Gaming Program in Kingston, Jamaica.
How can you tell if a child is addicted to gambling?
I would first want to define what gambling is. And we would say that gambling is an activity in which something of value is risked on the outcome of an event when the probability of winning or losing is less than certain. When you say child gambling, we would probably refer to that as underage gambling, because children are not allowed in almost all the jurisdictions that I know. They're not allowed to gamble. I would not define just child gambling. I would define what gambling is as an activity in which something of value is risked on the outcome of an event when the probability of winning or losing is less than certain. Children are not allowed to gamble in, this jurisdiction, Jamaica, and in most, if not all jurisdictions that I know worldwide. And so underage gambling would be the partaking of youth under the age of 18 in Jamaica in an activity where they risk something of value. And that's very important, because when we did our study way back in 2007, one of the things that we realized that young people reported that they believe that gambling included just using money. And that is not true. It is very important to understand that once you have something of value that you are going to risk on the outcome of an event, it is gambling. And young people, we found under 18 were doing that a lot of, on some occasions in schools.
Is child gambling a major problem?
I would consider it to be a major issue. As for a major problem, I would be referring back to the only study that we ever done, which is a little bit dated, but truthfully, that study revealed that 1 in 5 students in Jamaica were at risk for developing or had already developed a gambling-related issue. And that's 2007, that's fairly high. For us to know what's going on currently, we would need to do another study. But if I go from an anecdotal reference in terms of how gambling has escalated, there are more gaming activities for adults. Young people are seeing a lot more of that activity as well. I would say I am not expecting things to have changed. And with that said, of course, it is an issue, and an issue that we are currently with the BGLC trying to address.
Is playing cards or dice considered child gambling?
Good question. Because playing amongst friends where there is nothing of value that's being risked and you're not playing for anything, you're playing for fun, is not gambling. However, once you introduce into those card games, dice games, marble games, etc., something to win, then you are now entering into the realm of gambling.
Is it illegal for kids to gamble?
Most definitely, and a resounding yes. Young people under the age of 18 are not allowed to gamble in Jamaica. And as far as I know, in most countries worldwide, there is an age limit, and that age limit usually starts the beginning of adulthood.
Can children get addicted to gambling?
In terms of developing an addiction while you are still a child, maybe not. But the rules tell us, and I say the rules, science tells us that the earlier the onset of gambling related activity is the increased likelihood that you're going to take that gambling from childhood into adulthood with you, which would increase the likelihood of you developing a gambling related problem. When I also do therapy with adults who have gambling issues, and when I ask them about, when did you start gambling? Most, if not all, can go back into their childhood and pick out activities that they were involved with and how they were involved with gambling from a very, very early age. So yes, it is possible for you. It is actually detrimental for you to start gambling at an early age. There are other factors that that influence that. For example, the idea that science has told us that the human brain is not fully developed until around age 25, which means that your ability to make good decisions and focus your energies too on other important life goals will be tremendously distracted by you being involved with gambling. And so there are so many other life areas that you have to develop academically, socially, career-wise, etc., that young people who love that being underdeveloped, and so as they get into adulthood, then there are a host of other problems.
How can you tell if a child is addicted to gambling?
Well, one, we would have gotten a report. Maybe the parent would have taken them to Rise Life Management, and there are a number of activities that we would execute in terms of an interview with the child. Is the gambling beginning to affect academically? Was the young person doing well 3 months ago? Now that they're gambling, their academics has fallen off. There's stuff too that parents would have to report to us in terms of their activity, especially now that kids can go online. So are they online a lot? Are they very secretive while they're online? Are parents able to go back and see where the sites that the young person has gone on in terms of gambling paraphernalia? So kids might come home and the parents may be washing or going through pockets, and you find dice, you might find cards, other activities that would lead to gambling. And so you want to start asking questions of your child or your ward, what's going on. Of course, youngsters who are usually involved with gambling at school oftentimes miss class, they're truant. And so that would be also one of the cues, not in class because you are on the back of the school engaging, etc. Once the game gets going, a young person may be losing and the class is about to start. They're not going to class because they're trying to win back. And so there are quite a few activities that you could look at. And we're not saying any one activity will tell you, but certainly it will lead you on the right path as to what's happening with that young person.
What happens if police catch kids gambling?
If you're caught gambling at school, the school may want to implement both punitive and rehabilitative activities. And by that, I mean, you may get suspended, your parents will get called in, and on top of that, you would probably need to come to Rise Life Management to have some sessions in terms of understanding of gambling, why you should not be involved with gambling, more rehabilitative type of stuff. So it's a combination of both, because of course you don't want to get suspended from school. That goes on your record, and if we follow the chain of activities, if you continue to be involved with gambling, that suspension from school may lead to expulsion, which you don't want, because that again will affect you achieving your life goals and what you want to become.
What has your organization done to help stop children from gambling?
We have several activities. Again, our program is funded by the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission since inception. And so one of the activities that we are heavily involved with is our underage gambling prevention sensitization sessions, which we do island-wide. And so we have what is known as an UGPO, which is an underage gambling prevention officer, who goes into schools, not just schools that would call us and say, where there are some gambling related issues here with students, but we go to any school. We like to keep kids who are not gambling that way, just not gambling. And so we go into schools and we sensitize them about the ills of underage gambling, the importance of focusing on your goals. The best bet is really on your education, and why it is important that you continue to focus and not be involved in gambling related activities, and that gambling activities are actually adult activities which do not involve them. And so we have a lot of other areas that we look at, influences, how to negotiate hearing adverts on the radio about gambling, etc. And so our aim is really to increase their knowledge base so that they make better choices around issues that have to do with gambling, because we believe that knowledge changes attitudes. Apart from that, we also train guidance counselors to be able to do some of the work that we do and do prevention work in schools, be able to speak with students about the ills of underage gambling. And so if we do that with all the guidance counselors island-wide, then we will have a sort of unified force to be able to deal with the gambling-related issues that we may be currently facing. Finally, we have a jingle competition. It used to be postal. Now we do a jingle competition with students island-wide, where they can enter and create a jingle about the importance of not being involved with gambling while you're under the age of 18. And so out of that competition, we would get the top 10 entries and create, sometimes what we created was an animation for the winner. We have a video for the second place, and we'd be able to float those videos and animations about the ills of underage gambling and the importance of focusing on education while you're in school to a lot of the schools island-wide. And so again, it would help us to get the message right, because you know that we're located in Kingston, but we want the message to resonate island-wide. And so we would want a competition like that to be able to spread the word through the jingle. And that has worked for us fairly well. And we should be having a jingle competition coming up in September of this year, 2022. So we look forward to that, as well as training with the guidance counselors.
Great chat, kids. We have come to the close of the first day of the summit. Make sure you grab a copy of the Gleaner's Best in Class Candid Essays by Students magazine at the Gleaner's Western Bureau, the Gleaner Library, or at the RJR Gleaner Gift Shop. Tomorrow, we will discuss more issues faced by students. See you soon. Welcome to the Best in Class 2-Day Summit. I am Kaden Taylor Johnson, a teacher from the Port Antonio Infant School in Portland. Day 1 had some great conversations. Day 2 will include conversations on physical and verbal child abuse, corporal punishment, and making Jamaica a greater place through our children. We will also share some top candid essays from the Gleaner's Best in Class Candid Essays by Students magazine. Let's kick things off with our kids session.
Hi kids, we're going to be talking about physical child abuse. Have you ever heard about physical child abuse?
Yes.
What does it mean when someone is physically abused?
When someone beats you with a belt or other objects.
Can you see signs of physical abuse on other children?
Yes, you can.
What are some of these signs?
Scars, wails, and bruises.
What type of punishment is warranted to parents, caregivers, or anyone who physically abuses a child?
They can be charged or their child can be taken away.
Do you think enough is being done to protect our children from physical abuse?
No, I think more can be done.
What do you think that policymakers can do differently?
They can make more laws to protect children.
Great conversations. Now that the primary students have shared their opinions, check out the responses from the secondary students on verbal abuse.
Verbal abuse can affect by lowering their self-esteem, so they'll start believing what is being said to them, and basically when it lowers their self-esteem, they'll stop believing in themselves and they won't push themselves as much to do what they can really do.
That may cause a build-up of anger and that they may take it out on someone else like a friend.
This can also affect them by forcing them or encouraging them to commit suicide or even cause depression. Like, cause them for some weird things, like also cause repulsiveness. Like, them used to talk to a lot of persons and socialize, but like the things that have been said to them, like, it lowers them self-esteem, as she said before. And like them just stay to themselves.
Okay, one scenario is that before all those verbal abuses, they would come to school every day, they would be happy, they will do their work and stuff like that. But once they start being verbally abused and then believing what they were told, then them not gonna really put out an effort to do what they can do, thus causing them to fall back in school, and basically what everyone was saying about them begins to be true.
Let's check out our next wrap session with Jean Duhaney, the team leader of the Children and Family Support Unit at the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, about corporal punishment.
Pleasant good day, everyone. The CPFSA, which stands for the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, is an executive agency within the Ministry of Education and Youth, being our parent ministry. This agency is the agency that has national responsibility for the well-being of our children, and by extension, our children who would enter state care. They have mandate for the state care facilities and anything that would place our children at risk of being in harm's way. And so they provide services that will assist and alleviate our children being.
Okay, thank you, Miss. What is the corporal punishment? What is corporal punishment?
Okay, so corporal punishment is a physical form of punishment that seeks to inflict pain on the human body. It happens to not just only children, but adults also. But as an agency that has responsibility for children, we are so inclined to be concerned, and that's where our focus is read.
Okay, Miss, may I ask why is it called that? Why is it called corporal punishment?
As I did my little research, it's indicated that the word corporal punishment came from a Latin word that speaks to the body, and as such it was coined. But I also want to think that because of the stringent measure, the force that comes with inflicting pain to a child's body or a human's body, then corporal, because there's that air of rigidity that speaks to this form of punishment.
Okay, Miss, is it illegal, or will mommy and daddy get in trouble for it?
In Jamaica, as much as I am aware, it is not on books as being quote, and the law is not formally passed that it is illegal. However, there are different policies that speaks to it. So Jamaica doesn't entertain it as an okay thing to do regarding our children, but it also doesn't have the total law on books. For example, we have the Jamaica was ratified in terms of the Convention of the Rights of the Child. And so CPFSA being that organization that bears the responsibility of ensuring that our children are protected. And we are that arm of it, the government that speaks out and ensure that we uphold those standards. We follow the Child Care and Protection Act. We follow the Convention on the Rights of the Child in terms of upholding those rights that a child has. And as such, indeed, mommy and daddy will get into trouble. And I say this because while it is not ingrained in law, there are policies that states that it is not okay. So the Child Care and Protection Act seeks to ensure that we uphold and ensure that each child's rights, those basic tenets of rights, the right to life, the right to education, the right to that our children are protected. Because there is one such right that our children have. And so we are that voice. As I said before, the law is there. And we know in the Ministry of Education, they also have a policy that speaks to that in schools, corporal punishment is not administered in schools. We are cognizant of the fact, I must say that in the household, in our private space, we don't have authority to say to our parents, don't flog your child, but we want to encourage them to find and be creative, to find alternative means of, discipline and punishment for your child.
Okay, so my last question is, what if a child really misbehaves and deserves it? Is it still wrong?
So a child's world, a child is any person, any human being under the age of 18. That's what the law stipulates here in Jamaica. And so it's a child's world that children will step out of line. And so I cannot honestly sit here and tell you that because a child may have done something wrong in terms of what is expected of a parent, it means then that corporal punishment should be the way to go. I can't honestly tell you that. I can't encourage that. And I will not promote it. But what I can say to you is that if a child steps out of line in terms of the rules or the instructions given by a parent or an adult, then it is the adult's duty to find a creative way of getting that child in line. Hence, what we promote at the organization, and we try to share this with the public, what are those alternatives? So we have timeout, for example, based on the age of that child. We have withdrawal of privileges. We have, for example, this child would want to go to a particular activity or so forth. And that child should be told, why am I being punished? So I cannot honestly tell you that I encourage or would do that. So if the child steps out of line, it is the adult's responsibility. And it's a clear distinction why a child, when they were being created, there's an adult who should on board be the one to be responsible for that life. So it means that parent should be clear thinking, very coherent, and ensuring that whatever he or she does, it should not cause that child to be in a way worse off. And that is what corporal punishment does. It affects the psyche of our children, the emotion of our children, the physical of our children, and all these things and more. So instead of promoting the well-being of our children, it actually takes away from who the child is and will become.
Miss, my first question is, what kind of laws or policy governs corporal punishment?
Here in Jamaica, what I know is that the Ministry of Education, one, has a policy that speaks to removal of corporal punishment in school. And I think that is Article 17 of the Education Act that speaks to that. So there was a time before, these years gone by, where children could have been flogged in school. And I know that has been since instilled. And so that has removed that opportunity of our children being flogged at school. We also have as I mentioned earlier, the Convention of the Rights of the Child, which as a state, as a country, Jamaica has been ratified to have been one of the signatories on that act. And so with the establishment of the Child Care and Protection Act, we are expected to uphold that policy. And so the Child Care and Protection Act is a medium through which the rights of our children are being supported. And so we do not support, corporal punishment of our children in our own state care facilities. I know we have internal mechanism also where that is also removed and is replaced with alternative measures of punishment. As I read, I saw where there is a joint select committee. There was some work in place where the children's advocate, in September 2014, had spoken up about this, and there is a committee that also looks at this. It is work in progress. So as I said before, as a country, it is not officially on our books that it is removed, but we do have entities that continues to promote and continue to speak out. And so we look for time to come, Jeremy, where this will be ingrained in law officially, to ensure that our children are not exposed to this measure of medium of punishment.
Okay, thank you. My second question is, what does your company do about corporal punishment?
All right, so I'll start here. For example, it's Child's Month. May is celebrated around the country, as Child's Month, and so we are big on that. And so even each year, as a theme comes out, we as we go out to do our sessions in terms of educational sessions, we always seek to promote and to encourage and to uphold and to share with the general public what are the rights of our children. So in terms of corporal punishment, we carry the message that our children are to be protected, because what corporal punishment does is that it takes away from those rights our children have. And so we continue to promote. So we are big on education in terms of our public. We, as an organization, not only wait for the invitation of companies, we have been inviting ourselves. So we are in the churches, we are in schools, we are in workplaces, we are in community groups where we seek to educate persons as to what are the rights children have. But we are also in schools talking to our children too about their responsibility. Internally, as an organization, we have programs within the organization. For example, the program I give oversight to, the Child and Family Support. We know it's challenging, and we know parents are stretched with many challenging situations. And so we also seek to educate parents. So we work along with the parents in terms of sensitizing them as to what is it that they can do before it gets to the state of corporal punishment. So on any given day in any of our offices across the island, a parent can walk in if they recognize that they're at a particular place and they don't want to commit themselves and they feel that if they cannot manage, who can I go to talk to? Our offices are open. But if you check the blue pages, or if you look online, you can find our numbers. In office, we also recently launched the 211 number. So you can also call to report if you think you're at a place that you are not able to do it alone and you want some help. You can seek those help. We also there's also the reporting mechanism. If you recognize that a child is being abused or is at risk of being abused, and we're still talking about corporal punishment, any well-thinking citizen, any child can call to make that report. And so we encourage you. We have the 1-888 protect number, and we also have the 211 number. We also have our offices in every parish there is, that you can also call in the different regions. You can walk into a police station, you can walk into any court, and you can also make a report there. So help is available, and so we encourage our people to utilize those mediums, and yes, so that we don't get into this thing of abusing our children and using corporal punishment. So we are doing our part, and I must say to you that, of a truth, Jeremy, we are not able to do it alone as an organization, and so we do a lot of partnerships. We partner with other entities, right? So it is not the CPFSA alone who is doing it. While we have the mandate, we partner with other entities to do this.
And my last question is, what is anyone doing about it?
I know, Jeremy, that other organizations, because we would see groups from lobby groups from time to time. Once there's a matter out there regarding abuse of a child, we see civic groups coming together. We have entities in government. We have the children's advocate, which is the voice that speaks out for children. While they provide support for children who are in conflict with the law, they are also a very active voice that speaks out against that. We have Betty and Blaine there. We have Jamaican for Justice. We have so many other groups. We have community groups. We have Fight for Peace. We have all these other groups, community groups that are also a part of this. So it is not just the CPFSA, but while we are the leaders in terms of child protection, the child protection sector, and we do make ourselves visible, we have other entities out there. We have the church. The church has been around for a long time and very vocal about what happens with our children. So there is just about every group we can think of.
Thank you.
As a matter of fact, I just want to plug this before you go, Jeremy. In terms of the CPFSA, we have the child management group, where they advise, the children advise panel, so we are also getting from our children a voice that speaks for the voiceless, or speak for the children across this nation and the world by extension. So we have that group that is very active. They give the executive management team their voice on topical issues regarding our nation's children. So our children are being represented even within this organization. All right, so a lot is being done.
Check out this essay from the Best in Class Candid Essays by top students.
My name is Jamarling. I'll be reading an essay from Jerry T. Meyer from Arden Prep and Extension High School. The topic is about together Jamaicans can help one another to enjoy a better future. Living conditions in Jamaica for some people have not been ideal and they need to be improved. No jobs, low pay, and displacement can lead to poor living conditions. Some families in Jamaica are struggling to meet their basic needs. They are living in ramshackle structures made of board and zinc, leaking roofs. Often these houses have leaky roofs and poor maintained interior, which might encourage rodent infestation. Living conditions are important because the family environment affects the quality of their sleep, happiness, personal pride, ability to prepare healthy meals, and the other way in which they maintain their hygiene. Continued exposure to these conditions might damage Jamaican economy because extreme poverty can impact tourism, crime, and education. Poor living conditions affect tourism because large numbers of on-site accommodations make part of the islands look unattractive. It affects crime because people experience poor living conditions are more likely to be involved in crime and violence to satisfy their unmet needs. Additionally, poor living conditions can affect people's education because some homes might not have electricity or have cramped spaces with several children in a single room, which makes studying difficult. The consequences of poor living conditions are so serious that the government and other Jamaicans can no longer ignore them. To improve the worst living conditions, Jamaicans with better financial resources can donate money and other resources. The donated money could be used to purchase materials such as cement, blocks, steel, and gravel to start a building project. These supplies could be used to repair and make better homes for needy people. Also, Jamaicans in the diaspora could donate skills, supplies, and money for the project. Together, Jamaicans can help one another to enjoy a better future.
Great read. We have a shout out from two amazing kids in Atlanta. Let's take a look.
Hi, my name is Trey. Hi, my name is Gabby. And we want to wish all the children in Jamaica a Happy Children's Month. All the way from Atlanta.
Thank you, guys. Our final chit chat is about making Jamaica a better place. Let's check out our kids session.
My name is Jamarling. I attend Calabar High School and I'm in 8th grade.
Hello, my name is Kashana Henry and I attend the Meadowbrook High School and I am in 9th grade. What do I wish to change about Jamaica and why? Well, first of all, I wish to change the crime and violence because there are lots of crime happening and the crime rate goes up every day, and there's a lot of family that is hurting and go through the struggle, and I don't believe any family should go through that pain.
I think the crime needs to change in Jamaica because a lot of innocent people are dying because of it.
What I can do to make Jamaica a better place? First, I'm an individual, so only can work from the bottom and go up. I'll make sure my family is doing the right thing, and okay, we try to help in the community. After we help in the community, we go out of our community and help each other and just start from there.
I could tell my peers and other people to stay in school and get an education to change Jamaica and make it a better place.
Great chat, kids. We have come to the close of the second day of the summit. Make sure you grab a copy of the Gleaner's Best in Class Candid Essays by Students magazine at the Gleaner's Western Bureau, the Gleaner Library, or at the RGR Gleaner Gift Shop. See ya!